Oh, hello. My name's Quinlan. This is Melbourne Musos Facebook Live. Hello. Camera 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 up there and all that stuff. And what I'm doing is I'm back with Doris. And I've got a few questions from some beautiful, dirty double dippers. Hey. Oh, again. Oh, I've got to get a bit of moisture. Yeah, moisture. Hey. Oh, moisture. Oh, it works better if it's moist. Anyway, are you allowed to say that word? It sounds very... Anyway, I have some questions tonight. It's going to go a bit African. Can you tell by... And... Oh, yeah, a bit out there, hey? Now, what happens is I have a couple of dirty double dippers here in Marcus Sastamoyne. And hello, Marcus, how are you if you're watching? And Andrew Marshall, hello. Now, what happened was I was going to do this a week ago. And I woke up last Friday morning to the news that dear Chick Corea had passed away, one of my favourite musicians. So I duly did a double episode. Episode 1 was up on Wednesday. Episode 2 will be on next Wednesday on Community Channel 31 and all that in Melbourne. And what it is I was taking questions, and Marcus and Andrew came up with 2. So tonight is the charm. I'm going to talk about that. So what this is tonight... This is a little bit of an African kind of drumming leaning here. And I've taken a few disparate elements and I've brought it all in. Now, what I mean by that is that Marcus has asked me about Mick Fleetwood and Fleetwood Mac, right? And Mick Fleetwood is a grand old drummer sort of thing. You've got things like Tusk, isn't it? Don't say that you love me. Like that. It's right, both, right, left, right, both, right, left, you know. And that business is very Tommy and very tribal, and it's wonderful. And when I was researching it, of course, there was Mick Fleetwood holding African drums and all that. That's where he comes from and all that. One of his great influences when he was starting out in England in the 60s was Pete Meehan from the Shads, mate, the Shads. Marcus has asked me about Go Your Own Way. There it is there, sort of thing, that kind of a beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. There you have it there. One of the things that I really enjoyed as well was one of Mick Fleetwood's, one of them, but his track where he gets to play a little bit of a solo there. World Turning is what it is. And it's kind of a combination between slide guitar stuff when he was doing it in a clinic kind of thing with Fleetwood Mac. When you're hearing it live, he's having a ball and he's yelling and shouting like an African drumming group would. Hey! Ooh! And for Marcus, Fabo! We came up with that. Well, Marcus came up with that this afternoon. Fabo! Okay. And so what he's got is, there's a bit of the reverse, isn't it? Fabo! There we are. And that's what goes on there. Okay. Now, what also can happen is that one of the things I've done for this particular episode, something I used to do all the time about a decade ago. I had two of them here, but this is a Giovanni Hildago by LP Percussion, portable conga. You usually see the big barrels like that, but this one's just portable. And now I'm going to cite Alex Acuna, who I first saw doing this stuff. But that kind of thing there. Now, what happens with this is that when you're dealing with these kinds of things, I can draw in Andrew Marshall now, because Andrew, hello Andrew, what it is you've asked about African drums and the names of them and all sorts of things like that. So what I've done is I've actually brought my drums here, and I'll take you through them. And it's Middle Eastern, into North Africa, into Middle Africa. And this is a darbuka. Try and roll your R. And there. So my vocal mic is going to try and be the darbuka mic here. And then this is what's known as a finger drum, because it's fairly small. If you try and do your whole hand, thank you very much, it doesn't work. So use your fingers. Get it? Got it? Good. Now what that is, the most popular name for that little rhythm there is a calypso, okay? But if you take that to Africa and say put it on the drum kit, and sort of put it on the bass drum, hi-hat 2 and 4. It's known as a soukous rhythm, S-O-U-K-O-U-S, you see, soukous. There was a band that was on the show in the 90s. I saw them when I was filming for Channel 31, the Apollo Bay Music Festival in the mid-90s, and there was a band called Soukous Lekoli. And they were fantastic. And the drummer basically spent the whole gig doing that rhythm. Yeah. Fabo. Okay, there you go. Marcus. on the brain. And that's what that is. That's that. And with a darbuka, that's what that is. You've got to try and roll your R. Darbuka. And it is fingers, so thing. Bring it out like that. I'll sprechen a little bit louder. Now, the funny thing about this is that rhythm is the most universal rhythm. Like that. And it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, like that. And depending on where you are, it will have a different name. You know, different regions have different names for them, and you can't get away from it. It's on the, you know, it's the local TV commercial. Shring, get your home loans from here. What was that a few years ago? Only 5% interest. And that's what happens there, but you go to another region, it's by another name. Oh, by the way, what can often happen, and now I'm going to bring the next drum that I have. This is another one of the hourglass-shaped drums here. And this is a dumbek, okay, North Africa metal. And what happens, you can either play it straight up or you can have it on your lap. There's somewhere around there, there's a little thing for your little, for your shoulder strap. There it is there. There it is there. There. But what I like to play it like this. I give it to my students to play. I usually get, especially in winter, oh, it's cold. It's metal. There it is there, same rhythm, you see. So that's what goes on there. And what can happen is that what you have is there's three main kinds of taps, if you will. Like I've explained that on the drums, you know, you've got a single tap, a double tap and a press. But on any kind of hand drum, especially with one of these, like a dumbek or the djembe, which I have here in just a sec, what happens is you can have the dun, that's your bass tone. You can have the tek, and then the slap is the ka. And then with this you can bring in fingers if you like, so on. So that little curl, diddle it up. Now the way that I make the inflection could make it become a different kind of beat in a different region, you see, and all that sort of stuff. So that's what goes on there. You get that kind of... So there's kind of three sounds. There you go. And that is a dumbek, Andrew. And then, of course, you have the djembe and same hourglass figure, and wooden, and there's your strap for that if you want to play it like that between your legs, or you have it sitting down like this once again. Same things apply, and what I've tended to find when I do little duets with my students when it comes around to this kind of stuff, that the djembe and the dumbek, wood to metal, is a wonderful combination. There it is there. And that's a djembe with a J, so it's D-J-E-M-B-E. You don't say djembe, it's a djembe, like that, and that's what it is there. All sorts of sizes and all sorts of masters around town. This is my introduction to you, Andrew, and all that. And what goes on when you're starting to do this kind of playing, of course, what happens is that when you start to apply some of these rhythms to the drum set, like Latin rhythms as well, is that you take different kinds of inflections. Now, this goes back to my Alex Theatre show just a couple of weeks ago when I was doing, making a bit of an African feel with the two bass drums and stuff like that. And he said, I'll take them out for just a second. Hey, out of there. Get out of there. There you go. Oh, I'm getting a third one in. Just the touch of the toe. And what happens is you put your left foot, no boot cam today. I've got 4 just on top because of the aforementioned djembes and stuff. It's more of hands today. And what happens is, if I grab the mallets for a second. So. That's what you get at. I'm seriously thinking of putting the second bass drum back on Doris here. Hello Doris, how are you? I haven't played you enough. I need to stay with you for a while, I think. You're getting jealous of Delilah down at the Alex, the white one. Anyway, but what happens is that I'm talking to my drum kit for a sign of madness, I suppose. I'll put these triggers back on because I've prepared them. These are my African patches, and what I've done over the side here, turn it down a little bit. Hey, mix as I go. Hang on. There we are. Then I do different things here. So there's that there. So I've got that. I'll turn it back up a bit, actually. So. Cowbell, Andrew. Those beautiful pair of cowbells you bought at the start of the year that you showed me. Gorgeous. So there's a patch of it. Nothing quite like the real thing, but... There you go. It's almost like I'm morphing a rock beat, right? Because the idea... Hey. Oh, I'm starting to think a little bit of Fela Kuti there and all that. One of the greats with drummer Tony Allen with the Afro beat. I've done that one already, Mr. Stephen Tocci, due reference for you bringing that up last year. And what happens is that with these kinds of sounds, you start to do different things, and they start to morph into different places. Now, this is the next thing I want to sort of get into. I'm going to play this little thing because one of the things I'm going to bring up very shortly is the Drummers of Burundi, and they're incredible. They came out with Womadelaide, Peter Gabriel's Womadelaide Festival, many years ago. I missed them then, but I've got the CD off of Peter Gabriel's Real World Records, record company, and all that. And when you first listen to the Drummers of Burundi, the first thing is it's so powerful. Okay. The second thing is that the beat is relentless, and the beat itself is very, oh, I've got the mallets full, is very, in many ways, a similarity to, the Irish bowron. If it's in the Middle East, it would be called the arik, and many of them have, the more Middle Eastern ones have the jingles around, so they do this and they play over the top, once again with the aforementioned fingers and stuff. But if I'm going to go to my Irish roots, you know, my Irish heritage, here's a bowron. Here's the tipper. I've mentioned it, but I didn't have it to show it to you a few face chookeries ago. But it's a small stick, double-headed, with a little bump in the middle. You can put that bump up or down depending on the balance, and you hold it like a pen. And then what happens is when you're just playing, say, an Irish jig, which is in 6/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you know, I'm just a beginner at it, really. The person who gave me this is Kyle Melgard. He's a master at it. I've got to get him back on the show. He was on about 6 years ago. But anyway. 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 1. And then the bowron masters, you just go on the internets and, pardon me. And then what happens is you can see the hand there, up and down and around, and oh my God, fantastic. They make it talk, you know, sort of thing, because what actually happens, this camera will pick it up over here, but what happens is you've got the frame and you've got the little cutout for your arm. Not all of them have that. But then what happens is that you put your hand up and then inside, and then what you do is you mute the skin up the top, and then the masters can go up and down and in between like that, and go Fabo. Boom chicks, boom chick, boom tish, I should say. So you've got that. That's the bowron. Now, that's Celtic, right? So we've got that kind of Celtic feel about it, all that business. Now, go check out the masters. Don't hang too much shizer on me. Okay, I'm just demonstrating. Don't shoot the messenger. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine that. Okay, so what it is when you're listening to the Drummers of Burundi, I've got a little bio that I'm going to read out in a little bit. But what happens is I'm going to translate that to the bass drum. And I loosely call that the Celtic bass drum, like that. And the reason I've got the patches, that's the African patch, that's like, oh. What the Drummers of Burundi have is they've got their main ceremonial drum. It's made out of a tree trunk. It's huge, and it's called an inkiranya. Okay, you'll see it when you get onto YouTube later. This is the whole point. Get onto the internet and check out all this stuff. Write it down, sort of thing. That's what this is for. So you've got this. Now I'm coming from a Celtic point of view, but start with triplets. There you go. So that's that kind of rollicking rhythm. The thing about the Drummers of Burundi is that it's really interesting because their beat is so relentless. But because there's all of them going wow, 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 like that. But funnily enough, this is getting a little bit technical, but I was playing triplets, right? 1 and da 2 and da 3 and da 4. If I was writing it in 6/8, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. There you go. But when you're listening to the album, which I've had for, I think I bought it in the 90s. There you go. It's not quite triplets, but it's not quavers either. It's like in between, like triplets are a third of a beat each, a quaver is half a beat, that kind of thing. And what happens is it's somewhere in between. So the closest I can get to it, like if I'm going to flatten it out. It's like I've got to get my right foot to be lazy, and I've almost quantized it down to quintuplets. Because it's not semi-quavers, it's almost like hippopotamus, 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 hip. And the strangest thing is I can do it on the my old sonar kit over there, my teaching kit, because of the pedal. It's like, I can get it. But this one, it's got a little bit of a different thing, and it's such a funny thing. It's strange, because it's just that, it's not I never subscribe to you either got it or you haven't. I really subscribe to, as a teacher, you can learn it if you know what you're learning, rather than, that's not it, see you later, that kind of thing. I don't subscribe to that. I think, no, get into the science of the tap. Fabo! All that. So what happens is you get that. And then over the top they go, wow, that sort of business. And there it goes. Now, what I'm doing is with that, da-dun, 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 and then bringing in Drummers of Burundi. Does anyone remember the Afro-Celt sound system? That great group back in the 90s? I loved them. I don't know what happened to them. I think they went that way, I went that way. They split up. I kept on, I don't know. But anyway, check them out. They're absolutely fantastic. So what I'm actually talking about is starting to combine genres a little bit. And when I get really fascinated with where rhythms come from and where they go. We might know a beat like that, but it actually comes from there. Things like I said the other week, like a samba. We know the samba, so you go. George, the jungle, watch out for that tree. Something like that. Fabo. Anyway, I'm going to stop saying that, Marcus, I don't know. But anyway, what goes on is that in Africa that's called a semba, okay, with an E rather than an A. Not samba, it's semba and all that. And they play it a slightly different way simply because they've got their instruments. And it's beautiful. I love it, It's all connected, all that stuff. So there you have it. Now, when you're playing this kind of stuff, as a drummer, because I'm adapting this to the drum kit, what goes on is there's different ways that you can do it. Now, I'm coming all full circle, Marcus, because I'm talking about Mick Fleetwood's influences, funnily enough, which gets me into the African thing, which gets me into Andrew's African drums. So I'm trying to get it all together here. And what happens, when I was watching Mick Fleetwood play his solo, I started to have a little giggle about a show I did a while ago, in the sense that I called it Innies and Outies. What it is this. When you're listening to people like, say, Buddy Rich, this is an observation of mine, right? So when you're playing guitar, stuff like that, right? Buddy Rich is a snare drum player who sort of does tom work and he flicks out. He's an innie, like, someone else's belly button. This goes back to Mel, one of my old students, who we was chatting just the other day. And she started, this is how I got it, because she started giggling. I was talking about this style like about 13 years ago with her. And she started giggling. I said, why are you giggling? It's like belly buttons. Okay, you've got innies or outies, you see. So if you're taking Buddy Rich like an innie, fabo. What happens is when I was watching Mick Fleetwood's, back to you, Mark, because I know I'm a bit scatterbrained, but I'm there like that. I hope. Anyway, what goes on is that Mick Fleetwood's world turning solo it seemed to be an outie. And I'll put these on. He was sort of getting this kind of... He was yelling and having so much fun. Fabo! There it is, that's Mick Fleetwood. There you go, and he was just having so much fun, and he had one of these as well, the ShamWow. Not only do you get the free steak knives, 27 payments, you will get the whole shamozzle. I wish I hadn't done that. Anyway, there you go. I was sort of glad that I did. It's cheering me up. There you go. So there it is. And Andrew, I hope I've done all that for you. I'm looking at the time. I'm right there now. Okay, I was going to talk about... I'll go a few minutes over because I'm having fun. I was going to bring up a few other people too. And what happens is that I'll talk about the Drummers of Burundi. I have it right here. I'll talk about it very quickly. And then I'll move on and I'll start to finish up. What happens is I've already talked about the three sounds on a typical hand drum. Middle Eastern, like a doumbek or a djembe. And when we actually go to the drum set, in my grade 3 book, what I've done is I've sort of had those three sounds go between the floor tom and the high tom and the snare drum. So the dun, and you've got that kind of dun, tech. Can you hear the morphing from a hand drum into the typical drum kit? This one with beautiful Doris with the aforementioned triggers as well to help you through the night. Let me make it through the night. Okay, here we go. What happens is I've got a whole bunch of names here. I've got the rhythms, I'm not going to play them all. But go and check out these, all right? Maybe later on go back and have a listen or something, or have a listen and type it in as I'm talking. The Akonkon, the Agaya, the Aki Wow Wow, the Cuckoo, the Dajoli or Jole, Fanga, Liberté, Menjani, Triba, Wolof, and Your Mama. There you go. And what happens with that is that they're all two djembe, double djembe rhythms, okay, duets. So what I've got here is the upper section and the bottom and the lower, upper drum and lower drum, okay? And the reason I've got that, particularly in grade 3, is because when I was asked to write the drum set syllabus that I wrote, it was supposed to be in parity to other instruments. So at around about any kind of piano grade 3 exam, you're starting to get two-handed piano exercises between the treble and the bass clef. And I thought, why not do some African rhythms? That's sneaky teaching, Chris. There you go. That's what that is. Now let me talk about the music of Burundi. This bass drum ostinato is also very well suited to emulating the music of the African country of Burundi. Burundi is a Central African nation bordered by Rwanda and Lake Tanganyika. Burundi is steeped in a tradition of sacred ceremonial drumming and dancing. The Drummers of Burundi have for many years been great musical ambassadors, and since the 1960s taken the centuries-old rhythms of their country to the world. The Drummers of Burundi perform on large ingoma drums, that's the big one, and the aforementioned inkirana in the middle, the large ceremonial drum in the middle being the focal point. There you go, that's a little bit of that which I wanted to explain to you because I do love them. So take the time to listen to it, because when you're actually listening, you've got that kind of... You're hearing this relentless... I'm starting to get it now. Oh, come on, quintuplets, let's go. Yeah, it's flattening out a bit there. And what happens is that you're feeling like, oh man, turn it, anyone in the family, turn that bloody thing off, when's the song going to turn? But when you're listening to the other drums and the solos and stuff, you'll start to hear cross rhythms. You'll start to hear things like you might be thinking in 4/4, but then the cross rhythm comes in 3/4. And then something else comes in 5/4, and then they overlap, and next thing they're weaving in and out, all underneath, all over the top of... Marcus, there you go. All right, there you go. Now, before I finish, one of the influences and all this, with the sounds and all that sort of stuff, I'm going to turn it down a little bit here. Okay, I don't think it's going to be too applicable, but I just want to try it for ants and giggles, is that one of the things that bobbed up, and I thought I'd play it, is Dear Ringo of the Beatles with his little drum solo off of Abbey Road, the end. Now, go have a listen to the good old, have a listen to the lads, and what you'll find at around about 1967 from Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper's onwards, that Ringo's drum sound fundamentally changes. And you know why? Because he always wanted calfskin heads. And in the bad old days, the poor little calves, like veal schnitzel, it's hard to get. They're little baby cows, right? It's no good. I remember going to a barbecue many, many years ago, and a funny chap, I got to know him a bit, Yuri, sort of brought along some veal, sort of thing. And everyone, no, that's the naughty meat. You can't have that. And he's going, what is going on? He was a senior university student from Europe. He was a great guy, except he got veal for this bubby, and everyone was sort of going, oh, no, the naughty meat. And I don't know, after a class or two, I started going, every time he cut into it, I went, Yuri, you're hurting me. Yuri, ow. It was sticking in his throat. I'm sorry. I was a bit of a devil. I'm sorry, I apologise, Yuri, wherever you are. You're hurting me. That's a bit silly, but we need a laugh. Anyway, so what happens is that calf skin heads. Now, both the major drum companies, I love my Evans, and you might recall that I had calf tone heads. No baby cows were slaughtered in the process of making them. It's like a fibre skin kind of thing via the other brand. And what happens is that there's a beautiful vintage sound about it, and you could tell it was just beautiful. And what happened with Ringo is that when it got into, what have we got the mallets for? Because I'm not going to do with that. But what happens is he's got the quavers. And in the end, the love you bring is equal to the veal schnitzel, to the barbecue you bring. Ooh, Yuri! Fabo! Ha ha ha! Poor old Yuri, I hope I haven't scarred him for life. It was funny though, he was laughing, it was okay. But anyway, there you go. He never brought veal again. Okay, there you go. So what it is, I hope that I've got it all my little notes here. Let me do a little checklist here. Marcus, Fleetwood Mac, Mick Fleetwood, drum influence. I did a little bit of Tusk. I did Go Your Own Way. Then I went into World Turning a little bit there. All that. I talked about innies and outies for the Mick Fleetwood style. And then because of dear Andrew Marshall, with his question about African drums, I was actually able to bring in Mick Fleetwood's influences. Go to the Mick Fleetwood Wikipedia page or something like that. There he is with the big African drum. You know, and he sounds like that. And dear Scott Hayward and I did with the One Take Charlies. We did a version of Albatross. That's what it was, wasn't it? Yeah, last year. So that's a great Mick Fleetwood song too. Peter Green, of course, because we did it because Peter Green had sadly passed away. But Peter Green sung Mick Fleetwood's praises forever. And it was just beautiful drumming. It was so tasteful for that particular song. It just, and thank you, Scott, for that, because it's not usually considered a drum song. It's usually put everything in bar the kitchen sink. But what it is Mick Fleetwood's taste and touch is always great. Andrew, the African drums, gave me the way to combine that. And with that, explain the drums and the names of them, and then go off into mentioning people like the Afro-Celt sound system and things like that. Drummers of Burundi, African rhythms, and then finishing with Ringo, you know, that kind of thing. So hopefully, on any normal time, if it was just a lesson, it'd be, well, what's that got to do with that, or this? You know, and all that. But I hope I've been able to connect them all for you tonight. And I need to thank Marcus Sastamoinen and Andrew Marshall for exactly that. There you go. I'm out of here. Yes, it's strange old days. I said that the other week. I'm going to stop saying it. I'm just going to do the show. I'm not going to make any editorials or anything like that. But I'd like to dedicate this show to Moonshifter and all the beautiful people within, and especially mate Mike. And I'll leave it right there. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there you go. Okay, there it is. All right. I'm out of here, and I'll have this up for you tomorrow. And I will put in pictures there and on the blue screen, all the technology here. When I'm at the Alex Theatre, which I love and adore, that's pretty much the room and trying to get guests in and all that sort of stuff. It's still I just got to keep trying and all that. But here, this is Doris, and this is the room. So there you go. I'm going to get out of here, and take care, hey? And I'll see you all next week. Oh!